The Odyssey was never supposed to return. When it vanished into the event horizon of the Zeta Drift 12 years ago, the galaxy had written it off as another tragic footnote, a casualty of humanity's relentless push into the unknown. The Zeta Drift was an abyss, a tear in space-time that swallowed entire fleets without a whisper. No wreckage, no distress beacons, no traces left behind, just absence until today. The signal arrived at 3:17 Galactic Standard Time, a faint, broken transmission from deep space, a whisper against the roar of cosmic static. Odyssey, docking. Request. The crew of the Seraphis, a patrol vessel assigned to the outer fringe, stared at the garbled message in disbelief. Commander Elise Tran, a veteran with nerves tempered by years in the void, felt her blood run cold. The Odyssey was listed as destroyed, cause unknown, in the official logs. No ship returned from the drift. None. And yet, there it was. An automated docking sequence initiated itself without their consent. The Odyssey appeared on their scanners, a ghost ship drifting silently toward them, hull intact but scarred with something unidentifiable. Its exterior was pitted with dark fractures, like veins running beneath brittle skin. No life signs, no heat signatures, just empty. But the ship's lights flickered as if someone, or something, was still inside. The Seraphis had no choice but to respond. Protocol dictated investigation of any recovered vessel, especially one marked as lost. As the docking clamps locked with an eerie finality, Elise's gut twisted. She'd faced pirates, rogue AI, and even the occasional alien encounter, but nothing felt like this. Nothing felt wrong in the way the Odyssey did. Before the boarding team entered, Elise reviewed the original crew manifest. 17 names, 17 souls. Now there was no sign of any of them. But the ship came back anyway, and as the airlock hissed open, revealing the dark maw beyond, Elise wondered, what if it didn't come back empty after all? The boarding party moved in with tactical precision. 4 officers clad in exosuits, weapons charged, helmet lights piercing the oppressive darkness inside the Odyssey. Commander Elise watched from the Seraphis's bridge, the live feed flickering with static as if the ship itself resisted being seen. The interior was worse than Elise had imagined. Frost clung to the walls, thin and brittle, cracking under the footsteps of the crew. The corridors were warped, metal twisted unnaturally, as if the ship had been stretched and compressed at the same time. Gravity was inconsistent. Some sections pulled heavier, while others felt disturbingly light. But there was no sign of a struggle. No blood, no bodies, just absence. Lieutenant Cade's voice crackled through the comms, distorted. We've reached the bridge. Systems are active, but there's something wrong. Elise leaned forward. Define wrong, Lieutenant. Cade hesitated. The consoles are operational, but they're running something foreign. It's not any language I've seen before. Symbols keep shifting, like they're alive. Alive? Elise's jaw clenched. That wasn't possible. The Odyssey had been a standard exploration vessel. No experimental tech, no classified cargo, just a routine mission that went horribly wrong. As the team pushed deeper, they found personal items scattered. Photographs, journals, cups still resting on tables, but no crew. It was as if they'd vanished mid-action. A cold cup of coffee sat untouched beside a flickering monitor. A half-written message blinked on another screen. It's here. We can't. The sentence ended abruptly. Suddenly, static surged through the comms, screaming, gunfire, then silence. Elise shot up from her chair. Team, report. Cade, what's happening? Only breathing came through, ragged, shallow. Then a whisper, it's not empty. The feed cut to black. Panic surged through the Seraphis. Elise didn't wait. She suited up, grabbed her pulse rifle, and crossed the docking bridge alone. The metallic clang of her boots echoed louder than it should have. The air smelled stale, laced with something faintly metallic, like rust and ozone. The ship's darkness felt alive, pressing against her helmet, whispering without sound. She reached the bridge and found Cade's helmet, but not Cade. Just his helmet, cracked and empty. And on the console, a new message appeared, written in that shifting alien script. But Elise didn't need to understand the language. She could feel the meaning. Welcome back. Elise's breath fogged the inside of her visor, her pulse hammering in her ears. The message on the console glowed faintly, the alien symbols shifting like they were breathing, expanding and contracting, pulsing with a rhythm that felt too deliberate to be random. Welcome back. She tore her eyes away, forcing her mind to focus. This isn't possible, she thought. This ship is supposed to be dead. But the flickering lights, the eerie hum vibrating through the floor, it all screamed otherwise. She checked her weapon, fully charged, a small comfort against an enemy she couldn't see. Moving cautiously, Elise navigated the bridge, her boots crunching over shattered glass from the broken helm display. There was no sign of Cade, no blood, no struggle, just emptiness. And yet, the air felt thick, like something unseen watched from the shadows. She activated her suit's thermal scanner. At first, nothing. Then, movement. A faint heat signature flickered down the corridor, just beyond the bridge. Not human. The shape was wrong, elongated, almost distorted, like a figure stretched thin and jagged at the edges. It hovered unnaturally, flickering, as if reality couldn't fully hold it in place. Elise froze. "Cade?" she whispered, though she knew it wasn't him. The figure twitched, then darted out of sight. Elise's heart raced. She should have retreated, called for backup, but something pulled her forward. A compulsion she couldn't explain, like the ship wanted her to follow. She moved cautiously, flashlight slicing through the darkness. The walls grew stranger with every step, etched with symbols carved deep into the metal, oozing a black substance that didn't reflect light. It smelled faintly of ash and decay. Rounding a corner, she found the crew's quarters. Inside, it was worse. 17 beds, 17 personal lockers, and pinned to each one a piece of skin, dried, stretched thin, with more symbols carved into the flesh. Elise staggered back, bile rising in her throat. That's when she heard it, a whisper, not through her comms, inside her head. "You brought us back." She spun around, weapon raised, nothing there, but in the reflection of her visor, she saw it, standing right behind her, a figure with no face, just endless darkness where eyes should be. Then everything went black. Elise awoke to silence. Her helmet HUD flickered, static distorting the readout. The emergency systems in her suit had activated, feeding her oxygen, stabilizing her vitals. But something was wrong. She wasn't on the Odyssey's bridge anymore. She was somewhere else. The walls around her weren't metal. They pulsed, slick and dark, shifting like something alive. The air felt heavier, saturated with an invisible presence. A deep, resonant hum vibrated through the structure, not from a machine, but from something breathing. Elise forced herself up, pulse rifle clutched tightly. A voice, no, voices, whispered through the air, overlapping, layered over each other in an unnatural chorus. "You shouldn't have come." She turned sharply, weapon raised. The shadows twisted, forming into something almost human. 17 figures, distorted, hollow-eyed, their bodies flickering like projections cast by a broken signal. The crew, or what remained of them. Elise took a step back. "What happened to you?" The whispers surged, filling her head. "We saw. Saw what? What waits beyond? She gritted her teeth. That doesn't answer my question. The figures convulsed, their bodies jerking unnaturally, as if something else was using them to speak. There is no answer, only knowledge, and knowledge is a curse. A memory surfaced, something buried in the Odyssey's mission logs. The ship had been tasked with scanning anomalies near the Zeta Drift, but nothing about entering it. Yet they had. They had looked into something not meant for human eyes, and it had looked back. Elise's breathing quickened. Where are we? The figures stepped forward in unison. Between. A deep rumble shook the space. The walls pulsed violently. The whispering turned into a deafening roar. Something was coming. Elise didn't wait to find out what. She sprinted toward the corridor behind her, forcing herself forward even as her body screamed to stop. She wasn't sure if the figures pursued, if they could. Ahead, a single, flickering console came into view. A message scrolled across the screen in the same shifting alien script she had seen before. This time, she understood it. It is awake. And then, the entire ship screamed. In the end, humanity doesn't win, at least not in the traditional sense. The Odyssey was never just a lost ship. It became a vessel, a doorway for something beyond comprehension, something that existed in the spaces between realities. The crew didn't die. They were transformed, twisted into echoes of themselves, cursed by the knowledge of what they had seen. Their minds, their identities, devoured by the very thing they encountered beyond the Zeta Drift. Elise never escapes. Her final scream merges with a chorus of whispers, her consciousness consumed, becoming part of the ship's endless cycle. The Odyssey floats on, an eternal beacon, bait, pulling in the next unsuspecting crew, spreading whatever it is further into human space. The Seraphis loses contact with Elise, but weeks later, another patrol picks up a faint, broken transmission drifting through the void. The Seraphis. Docking. Request. The cycle begins again. The ship always comes back, but it's never really empty.